What's going on, guys? Welcome to BossFight TV's The Reload, episode number 8, which we will be covering January 16th through January 23rd, 2012. My name is Josh Engel, also known as Anti-Pro, and joined with me today,
Mike Bisson, a.k.a. Mohawk Mike.
And today, we are going to be covering lots of awesome esports news, all the way from IEM Kiev, all the way down to cool stuff like Hypefestation and all sorts of awesome tournaments going on this week.
When you use the phrase cover a lot, you mean a lot.
A lot.
There's a lot that happened this week.
There's a poop load.
A poop load.
A
whole poop load.
Yes, indeed. So before we get started, just like we start off every episode, we want to remind you guys to listen for the secret code to win stickers from iHeartEsports.com. And today we have our winner from last week, and that is at Spawn Room. So congratulations to those guys. I actually kind of looked at their website. They have they're esports related, and they got some cool stuff up there. So it's twitter.com/@/Spawn Room. So check them out. And so remember the code. Put the code in this week, and maybe you will get a shout out.
Win some stickers.
Right here
get some
on
shout-outs.
The Reload.
More GG.
More GT.
More GG.
Oh, more GG.
More GG.
More GT.
More GT.
More GG, more skill. All right. So, before we get started with the news, I want to say thank you, everyone, for the support recently. We've been getting a lot of mentions on Twitter, a lot of retweets and everything like that. So we do appreciate you guys going out there and spreading the word about Boss Fight. It is really cool to see everything kind of coming together and us, gathering some fans and all sorts of stuff like that.
Am I famous yet?
You're not famous yet.
My mom says I'm famous.
Your mom probably tells you a lot of things that help
She
you
writes
sleep
me
at
little
night.
notes inside my bag lunch, like really positive things, like I love you, you're great, and stuff like that. So, hi, Mom.
Okay. Anyways, back to esports. Very first thing we want to talk about is IEM Kiev.
Oh, God.
It was awesome.
You mean AKA tournament to ruin my sleep pattern?
Yeah. No, it's funny because in general, normally if a tournament's, overseas, I normally kind of just say, all right, I'm going to wake up the next day and I'm going to watch the VODs. This time around, I was like, you know what? I'm going to watch it live.
There was magic.
Oh my gosh, there was so much crazy stuff. So we had StarCraft 2, we had Counter-Strike 1.6, and we also had the infamous League of Legends. And I personally got to watch a little bit of everything. And I think we were there on Skype talking the whole time or whatever. And Mike saw a lot of the stuff, and we were with a bunch of other staff. And if you didn't see on our website, we actually did a recap almost. It depends. We did one every day. Some games didn't get hit every day, but we have some really awesome recaps. So if you missed anything and you don't necessarily want to watch the whole tournament all over again, just go to BossFight.tv. We have all of the recaps you need to see. The finals recap, which is really great. And shout out to Carmack because he retweeted us. So awesome support from the ESL and IEM from those guys. So thank you very much. So jumping right into StarCraft news with the ESL. Ooh, I missed one note.
Oh.
One congratulations to ESL and IEM. They actually set the record for concurrent viewers. They beat MLG from Providence. They had 247,000. That is a lot. And from looking back and forth through the different streams, I think a big chunk of it was from League of Legends. League of Legends had a heck of a lot more people throughout the weekend.
Well, I think also too that you had the kind of like the way that the if you went straight to the ESL website, ESL.tv, they had it kind of in order, and it kind of changed ordered from day to day. And League of Legends was not the English League of Legends stream was number 1.
Right.
So as soon as you went there, that's what you've seen, and that is because that is what got the most viewership, most attention.
So big shout out to all those people out there involved in the ESL. It's a really big thing. Congratulations and keep on rocking. I can't wait for the South America event, Sao Paulo coming
First
up.
ever.
It's going to be awesome. So Now jumping into the StarCraft tournament, the one big thing I have to say, the coolest thing, is that out of all the players, there was one player that kind of came out of the woodwork that had an interesting story. He played through a lot of the online qualifiers. He took out a lot of really big players, and that's Feast from Germany. He actually got second in his group, and he ended up in the playoff brackets, but he ended up losing, I believe it was to MMA. Yes, it was MMA in the round 1 of the playoff bracket, unfortunately. So that is a really cool story. And definitely, if you don't know who Feast is, like, look him up. Because seriously, he is an up-and-coming player, and he's really going to be doing big things in 2012.
Is this the part where you do the stock market skit and you're like, buy, buy, buy?
Bye, bye, bye.
Get Feast.
Oh, man. We need a show like that.
Yeah. He's a bull.
The other interesting thing, with the playoff bracket at least, there were 3 Ukrainian players that ended up on the same side of the bracket for the playoffs. And it was just, it really killed me because I'm like, really? Like, here we have the hometown heroes, and they are all on the same side of the bracket. And, you know, it almost guarantees, like, depending on how it rolls, like, it almost guarantees one Ukrainian in the finals. But at the same time, like, they have to take each other out, unfortunately. So we had Damaga, White Raw, and Cass. Those were the guys from the Ukraine. And they were all drawn randomly by Carmack right after the pool play. And so they actually had a ceremony on stage. They drew all the names and all sorts of crazy stuff like that. Another interesting thing to note, Mr. Naniwa actually made it into the playoff bracket after his little
temper tantrum.
Yeah, I have to feel for him because when watching the games, there was some bad lag, and there was one point when I was watching where literally, a giant battle was going on, and like he had like a giant group of stalkers that just weren't moving in to help anything. Which, I mean, okay, yes, he can forget it, but it's Naniwa. Like, how high level player he is. But regardless, so he actually dropped out of the tournament and decided to come back, and he actually made it to the playoff bracket. So congratulations to him. MMA kind of had a field day with his brackets, all right? He 3-1'd Feast, so that put Feast out, like I mentioned before, and he 3-0'd Zinio, all right? So he ended up in the finals, and then we also have Damaga. He had to fight a little bit harder. He 3-2'd Palmy and 3-2'd Cass, so it was MMA and Damaga in the finals. And so the interesting part about this tournament, the best part, honestly, was the third place match, okay? Because normally you would think that, being a third place match, not to say that players don't care, the difference between prize money was only $500 in this particular tournament. But in general, they're like, all right, well, we're kind of out of first and second place. Like, let's just kind of get this over with. But no, Cass and Zinio, they played some ridiculous games. They sat down and they fought it out, literally back and forth. And the games were seriously, there were 2, I think, only 2 that were less than half an hour long. And even like Rotterdam and Mr. Bitter, they were like, at one point in the game, they're like, oh my God, Cass is going to totally take this. And then all of a sudden they're like, oh my God, now Zinio has the lead. And back and forth. It was some intense StarCraft. So if you're going to watch any games from the tournament, watch the third place matches. Seriously. So the finals, we have Damaga and MMA. And honestly, going into the finals, I think that MMA obviously he powered through the bracket, so we had all of that momentum coming into the finals. Damaga, like I said before, had to kind of fight a little bit harder. And Damaga wins the first game, and unfortunately, MMA won the rest, ending up beating Damaga. And I was a little disappointed because the last match was just a 2 proxy barracks all in. And I'm like, really? You're going to cheese for the last game? Not cool, man. Not cool. But seriously, awesome tournament. Really cool. Go check out the VODs. That third place match, like all those games, really awesome. So check it out. Another game being played is 1.6.
Oh, jeez, was it played.
And I actually got to watch a lot of games, too.
We actually got to watch a lot together, and I'll come back to that here in a little bit. But here's the big story. As mentioned before, this is happening in Kiev, Ukraine. And who is from Kiev, Ukraine? Why, Team Na'Vi. So you would think it's pretty much standard that they're going to play and they're going to get into the tournament. Not true. You know why? They didn't even qualify. Mm-mm. They weren't even invited. They didn't even have a spot until Team EG dropped out of the tournament, giving them their berth into the group stages. But do you know who else was in their group stage?
Who, Mike?
It was their one big nemesis, storyline evolving SK Gaming. Now, I've mentioned it before. SK Gaming had a fantastic 2011, but at the end kind of faltered a little bit. If you recall, they won DreamHack Summer. Going to DreamHack Winter, they were seeded number 1, in which Na'Vi actually knocked them out in the group stages. So Team Na'Vi had already kind of proved themselves that they're a top team, and that they really should be taken seriously. So in the group stage, that first match, SK Gaming, even though it was a semi-close game, SK Gaming actually beat them in their match. So Na'Vi actually played the rest of their matches and played well enough that they actually got into the playoffs. So now they're on other sides of the bracket, right? So lo and behold, bloop, 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 bloop. Guess who's in the finals?
SK versus
Na'Vi. So here you have the hometown team, which I actually, on my final day recap, throughout the whole weekend, there's just one voice that every time Na'Vi was playing,
oh my gosh,
you hear screaming and chanting and singing, and just one person was going crazy. And I'm like, man, that guy is nuts. Like, he just loves Team Na'Vi and hometown pride. He was like 12 years old.
Yes.
He had a sign, and he made up his own chants for each specific game. And I actually have Carmack did an interview with him, and I actually got a picture at the end of my day, or the final day recap. I mean, future of esports.
Awesome.
That guy was nuts. And what's great is they actually, I'll get into the game, and I'll come back to that later. So anyway, SK Gaming versus Na'Vi for the grand finals, IEM Kiev. Another important note is that Na'Vi had actually not had a top 5 finish since exactly 1 year previous at season 5, when they were at the Kiev stop, in which they placed 4th. So here they are, grand finals, home team advantage. And I said specifically before this series started, they not only were they going to win, but that they needed to win.
Right.
Underline, bold, exclamation, exclamation, needed to win to come out as a serious contender in 2012 and get their tournament berth and really, really, really come out as a powerhouse team. So as we're sitting there, we're getting ready for the finals, and I do want to give a quick shout out to actually Corey Dunn. For those of you who know, he is a classic Counter-Strike shoutcaster, and he actually
TSM.
At 6:00 in the morning hopped on Skype and joined us in, and we just chatted and watched the games. We actually did a little bit more chatting because Na'Vi actually rolled SK.
My God.
It was brutal.
It was disgusting.
It was fantastic to see, but at the same time, we were kind of sitting there and we're like, wait a minute, what's the score? Like, we're not even paying attention anymore. Like, it was
a landslide.
It was brutal. Yeah. So big ups to Na'Vi. I mean, really, really pulling it through. What a storyline. You cannot write that.
They weren't even supposed to be there.
They weren't even supposed to be there. They just kind of showed up to watch the tournament.
Okay, what's up, guys?
And Carmack's like, get on stage.
Go.
You're playing.
Go.
But the other thing I wanted to note about that, the fan, the 12-year-old fan that was there with his sign and everything, actually the image that's posted for that final day recap on the front page, the little guy in the front that's touching the trophy, surrounded by Team Na'Vi, he got to be in the picture for the final, the trophy
sick.
Around it. That's
got to be that kid's dream.
Amazing. That was really good. So, going into the World Championships, keep an eye on Na'Vi because they just don't sleep on them.
It's going to be awesome.
They're here to play.
Sweet. So, we have some League of Legends news coming out of Kiev as well.
Last but certainly not least.
Certainly not least.
Not least by a far shot.
Some good times watching some League of Legends. Blackout, also known as Aaron, he's kind of our League of Legends and fighting game person. He kind of does a lot of stuff. He watched so much, and it was funny because by the end of the weekend, he was like, "Oh my god, I'm so League of Legends out right now." So I didn't get to watch a lot of it, but basically in between matches, I kind of just popped it on because seriously, League of Legends was going on almost
it was like
the
nonstop.
whole time.
Yeah.
So I mean, those games are so long. So the teams that made it out of group play, we have Moscow 5, SK, Dignitas, and Team Solo Mid. Those are names that are well known in the League of Legends community. So pretty much no surprise there.
Actually, let me throw in a side note there because actually what's funny is the same time that Moscow 5 was playing SK,
they were playing
that was
League
the same
of
as
Legends.
it was the Counter-Strike match was taking place at the same time. So you hear like SK, you hear like all these chanting and stuff, and I'm like on the stream like they're buying. Like why are they chanting? They're in the buy step. Like they haven't even there's an economy around like. So that was awesome to see that not only was, the series was really good to watch, but they were taking place at the same time.
Right. And it's like, I mean, that area is so small at that arena.
Yeah.
It does, like, no matter what game you're watching, you're, like, right there sitting next to everyone else anyways. So definitely really cool. So Moscow 5 and TSM actually made it into the finals from the pool, or not pool play, from the playoff bracket. So unfortunately, SK did not make it. And we have Moscow 5 actually won the finals, okay? And the Dignitas ended up getting third place. So congratulations to them. It was also kind of interesting. I wanted to throw this in there. The very first day of the tournament itself, there was a kind of a thing going on. Like I was watching Counter-Strike. This is before StarCraft 2 even started. And after the first match of Counter-Strike, there was some sort of delay going on. And someone from the League of Legends side that lost, I think is it White Lotus or something?
Think so.
I'm sorry if I don't know all the teams. I think it was White Lotus or something Lotus. Someone from their team got pissed off when they lost and like knocked a Red Bull can like over. I don't know if he knocked it over or like tossed it or whatever.
See, and that's the thing. Like I heard it chucked across the arena.
I've heard both.
Yeah.
But anyways, it hit a player. I'm not sure from what Counter-Strike team. It hit his setup and like got all over his keyboard and his mouse. And they're like, Joe Miller's like, well, if you wonder why the game hasn't started yet, some guy from League of Legends decided to knock a Red Bull over all over the Counter-Strike team. So they had to switch out his mouse and keyboard. So it was an interesting delay.
Let me go ahead while we're throwing in little tidbits. I actually also want to give a big shout out to Red Eye, who kind of came out of nowhere to help cast the Counter-Strike, which is hilarious because, you see some of us older style guys, we have our notebooks, we have our notes and everything.
He had so many notes.
They were what do you call that? With the plastic laminated and
pages.
he legit like had like a file folder and he's like, oh, who's playing now? Moscow 5 and who? Oh, let's see. Their match history. Oh, so good.
He's the reincarnate of Mike. Like Mike,
I think
Mike
I'd
is
be
reincarnate of him, right?
Old souls.
It was ridiculous. So awesome tournament. IEM Kiev. Check out BossFight.tv for all of the recaps that we did, and check out ESL.tv for all the VODs. And if they're not on there, I know they've been doing replays. If they're not on there, if you go to ESL-world.net, they should have all that stuff there as well. Also, really quickly, also in the StarCraft world, other than Kiev, there's really not that much going on, yet. We have the NASTL Team League, all right? With the NASTL Team League, Empire faced off against EG, and it was kind of a sad story because EG kind of dropped the ball, unfortunately. They went 4-1 Empire, and JYP was the only person to take a game from Empire, unfortunately. But I love JYP. He's the newest addition to Evil Geniuses, and he's a really cool guy. Or at least from what I've seen, like In Control has nothing but nice things to say about the guy. Then we have Mao Sports face off against Rocks KIS 3-0. Easy. FXO beat Rain 4-3. And then TL, Team Liquid, beats Quantic 3-1. And Sase from Quantic was the only person to win a game for that team. So keep a lookout, NASTL.tv, for all of the awesome tournament information coming out of that. And also, just to tag on one more thing, we're talking about the NASTL Team League. The IGN Pro League Team League is also going on. So There's actually, I put an article up there today. There was only one match yesterday. So keep a lookout on that. And next week we will be talking about all the matches that happen in the IPL Team League. So keep a lookout on that awesomeness. Indeed. So there was also some awesome news coming out of the Gears of War community.
Wow.
It was some good times.
That's all I can say is wow. For those of you who are unaware, the Gears of War community, I feel like I'm kind of like, it's almost like a repeat from Apex. So I'm like, the Smash Brothers community, oh my God, I like feel bad for like kind of like not, falling out of place and not really following them. The Gears of War community, Hypefestation 2, yeah, they're alive and kicking and, breaking down doors. That's how crazy. Hypefestation 2 is a primarily a Gears of War LAN competition, which you had a lot of, VVV had a team, Astro was sponsoring, all this just big, Epic was actually had members of their team there supporting and, a lot of people out casting and stuff. And it was just intense. And I hadn't really, since, when MLG had Gears of War 1, I was kind of following it and then it just kind of trickled away.
Yeah,
but this,
it didn't really have a big, long life at MLG. And, no one ever really picked up Gears of War 2, on a competitive level. So it's kind of really cool and freshening to see it return.
Right. I would kind of liken the event to almost like an Evo. And that was just so, it's community grown and it's community supported and, the developers were there and it was fantastic. And they had a $12,000 prize pool.
That's ridiculous for a community tournament.
$12,000. But I digress. Because we actually had our very own Ryan, a.k.a. Freedom, was actually at the event. And he actually ran around, was, talking with guys in the community, and actually got a couple of really cool interviews. Which
we have some Epic developer, a guy who works mainly on the multiplayer, and we have a couple other people. This week you will see the Epic interview, and then throughout this week and next week you'll see the other interviews as well. So be on the lookout.
Yep. So let's go ahead and let's get into match specifics because, I don't want to deflat anybody and those articles will come out later. But the grand finals between Infinity and it's so funny because there's the Insanes in SA3 ZX_P.
Fun fact about the Insanes. Even though Gears hasn't been around, at least on the MLG circuit or anywhere else for that instance, they actually decided as a team to come together, and they actually have been playing here and there in Halo tournaments.
Really?
At MLG. So it's funny, you'll be walking around and you'll be like, wait a second. Like, you guys were a Gears of War team. Like, they literally have their pro jerseys on and everything playing Halo 3. ZYN also does it too, are amazing. So they also play a lot of Halo stuff. Right. But the finals
were crazy. Back and forth games, very close games, back and forth series. But in the end, it was Infinity that took it 6-4. I really thought that it was going to go to a final map, but
it was in the beginning. It was really intense, and they were kind of trading back and forth. But once they kind of got that momentum, like, that's a big thing in a lot of these games that people don't realize. Like, when you're winning, and it's like a mental game. Like, you just keep rolling, and when you're losing, you have that block, and you're like feeling bad. But they just kept that train rolling. So congratulations to them. Really cool. And then kind of like listening to the Twitter universe here and there, like, I would expect another one.
Oh, I think it's almost guaranteed.
I don't know how soon. But obviously being a lookout for the next one, seriously.
It's funny because I actually seen a tweet sent out by Golden Boy that said he's going to start a COD. I think it was like COD Infestation. COD for the Call of Duty community. So that was really impressive. But, talking about another really, really close series, we also had the Reflex GT7, which for those of you who don't know what Reflex is, it's basically, I liken it to, it's the European MLG. They are mainly console-based. They have a lot of tournaments. In fact, this is their 7th grand tournament. And this was their first big European Modern Warfare 3 tournament. And, man, they had 32 teams show up. Okay, we're going to go to a little overlay. Look at the brackets.
The brackets.
Look at
Mike
the
was
brackets.
like, when we were just talking, like I think I was watching like a StarCraft match or something, and Mike is just like, hey, look at these brackets real quick. And I'm like, why do I need to see brackets? He's like, no, look at them. And they were intense.
Madness. But
Madness.
there's a lot going on there. And I have done a recap of the event article as well. Go ahead.
We have our secret code.
What is
Madness?
Madness?
These are brackets.
Hashtag
Madness. These are brackets. Madness. I mean, we'll put it up on the screen. There's a specific way that I'm envisioning this hashtag.
Oh, okay. All right. So if you want some stickers,
follow at BossFight TV and at iHeart Esports, and mention both of us. Hashtag Madness. These are brackets. Sorry, continue, Mike.
As I was saying before we kind of went on that tangent.
I'm sorry.
Anyway, so there's a long storyline with the Reflex series, and they're actually, one of the major storylines is that Team Apex has actually been the #1 team, and they actually won Reflex GT5 and 6. So coming into this event, they were, a top seed. They were, the ones there to prove that they were still great. Now, here's the other storyline. Team Mythics, who are basically like the AAA of Call of Duty, in that they recruit some of the best Call of Duty players in the European scene. And then what happens after they do well in a tournament? It's like they get picked up. They disband, and a lot of the players go out. So one of the really good players, Gotaga, was actually playing on Mythics prior to this event. He's one of the top, in my opinion, one of the top slayers in the European Call of Duty scene. And what happens? Oh, grand finals, he has to play his old team, his old teammates. And I don't want to say like there was like animosity, but it was definitely awkward seeing both of those teams walk up to the main stage, and they're just kind of like not, intentionally like not trying to look at the other team. Yeah. So
got some salt going on.
Yeah.
Even in Call of Duty, get some salt.
It's so good. And going into it, okay. So Mythics ends up, they take the first 3 games. And so already we're like, this is it. Redemption time. They've got this. Apex brings it back, ties it 3-3 to the series. So this is best of 11. Ties the series 3-3. And then what happens? A back and forth battle like I had never seen before, taking it all the way to the 11th game.
Wow.
Which was, let me say, it was fitting. The last game was actually CTF on C-Town, which, again, in my opinion, is the most balanced map in Modern Warfare 3 currently. Mm-hmm. And CTF is obviously a great game type, in my opinion. The flag locations are a little awkward, maybe, but, it's still, to have that rather than, like, Dome. I hate Dome. Can I express that? I hate Dome. No tournament play for Dome. No. So, anyway.
That should have been the hashtag. Mike hates Dome.
Mike hates Dome.
But that's not the
anyway. They are actually going to load up all of the VODs. I actually posted the link inside of the story that I did on the front page. Watch these games. They're intense. And more specifically, I really, really think that we're going to see a lot more out of the Reflex tournament series, as well as the European Call of Duty scene. Because, now that there's a lot of momentum coming into the 2012 season, I really feel that we're going to get a lot more international flavor here in the American Call of Duty scene. So keep an eye out. Keep your eyes open. Mm-hmm. Stuff's going down.
Down like Chinatown.
Down in Chinatown.
Whatever. So, I mean, Apex already sponsors a couple teams over here.
Yeah.
They play in MLG. Mm-hmm. They sponsor a Halo team. So.
They also had other teams, like Lowland Lions had a team. And Apex, it's funny because Apex actually had a team playing at Hypefestation. And so, seeing tweets back and forth. I'm like, which tournament are we talking about? Because I don't know what's going on.
This was a confusing weekend overall.
Well, since we're still on the topic of Call of Duty, let me go ahead and give a shout out to Aviator, who actually ran the Call of Community 2.
Really cool event.
Fundraiser event, which was Basically, if you don't know what it is, they actually have it is a like clean water fund, and it's a charity event. All the profits go to the charity to help provide clean water for developing nations. You had a lot of guys. You had like Zergriz, you had a lot of the Optic guys, you had a lot of the other main players. And the great thing about this tournament is that what they did is they had captains, and those captains actually had a draft and pulled their players. So the teams were in essence random. You didn't have like Optic had a game or had a team and they went in and played the game. But more specifically, the team names, I don't know if I want to re-mention some of them.
I'm surprised they allowed those.
So check out www.callofthecommunity.com.
Check them names out.
You can check out the names, check out the recap. All the VODs will be up there, as well as information on how to sign up for Call of the Community 3, which is a very, very good cause, very good tournament.
Check it out. Join up. Help the community. Help charities.
Shoot some people.
They do the drinking water every time, or do they kind of pick something each time?
I recall the first one was the life water. I can't remember the name specifically, but I think that it was concurrent at the same time. So
go help an awesome charity.
Really good stuff in the Call of Duty community going on right now.
Indeed. Moving on into the
last but not least,
fighting games.
This weekend was kind of sparse, except for the fact that we had the LG Cup. In Japan, this was the Japan qualifier. And if you recall, when we did our recap from the last event from the USA qualifier, we had Wolfkrone,
Mr. Wolfkrone,
who actually took the Street Fighter 4 HD, which is the phone version. He placed first in that, and as well as on the console, so the traditional Street Fighter 4 tournament. This time, it was actually Fudo's turn, and he actually won. He pulled. I called it pulled the Wolfkrone because he won first in the Street Fighter 4 HD. And in the traditional console tournament. So he is now qualified. We have coming up, we have the Korea qualifying event, which is going to happen on the 28th, which is this Saturday. So make sure to tune in for that. And then also we have the grand finals, which will actually be February 5th. Which there's still, there was some stuff posted on their site about other possible players who may be already registered, but it's kind of been retracted, and so we're still kind of waiting to see what is going on. But another cool side note about that is you'll be able to watch that through the stream, through the LG stream, but then also it'll also be streamed on GameNet, the Korean television station, which you may know for some StarCraft tournaments, is actually going to stream it or broadcast it live on their television station. So a lot of coverage, very, very hype for this because you know what? Street Fighter 4 HD, which is, again, the phone version. I kind of hate calling it the phone version, but I feel like that's the way I separate it, phone version and console. Guess what first place is?
I heard that it was actually a lot.
First place will net you $10,000.
It's pretty nice.
For tapping your little cell phone screen there.
And then the sad side of the story.
Kind of the sad side of the story, because it is LG and they want to pump the game, pump the products
on their own.
It's $5,800 for the traditional console.
Like half the price.
Almost half. Which, money's money.
I mean, yeah.
I'll take it. I get paid. I'll play Street Fighter. Shoot, I'll play you Street Fighter, make me money.
Like I said, watch out. WCG 2012. Street Fighter phone game.
I hope they don't replace Asphalt 7 or 6 or whatever
they'll have
at that time. Yeah.
It'll be. Anyways.
All right.
Going on to our last piece of news.
Big news.
And it's exciting. Seriously, 110% exciting. When I got this news, I was super pumped. MLG has finally come out of silence and have released their StarCraft 2 plans for the 2012 season.
Can I just say officially that I had actually, because of, the whole, we had the SOPA thing going on where MLG took their site down and they were like, we're going to get news out, a couple weeks here. I actually sent a tweet to Sundance. I was like, Sundance, please announce 2012 season. My nipples are in a perpetual state of hardness. I'm ruining all my t-shirts. And as you can see now, I'm fine. I'm great because we have details finally. Stop kicking around.
Why did we pick the hashtag? We could have.
You make me so angry.
Mike's nipples are hard.
Mike's nipples are hard. You could send that anyway. I mean,
you could hashtag all of them if you really wanted to. Anyways,
so into those details.
Back onto the track.
2012 MLG.
2012. They confirmed a lot of the unknowns that a lot of people kind of, already kind of knew, kind of didn't know, because at the same time, Sundance did some interviews with Forbes throughout the off season that kind of hinted at small things here and there.
Mm-hmm.
So here is the skinny. All right, 4 seasons. You have winter, spring, summer, and fall, which will be put together. There will be 3 online qualifiers. 1 for the North American region, 1 for the European region, and 1 for the Korean region.
And this is just specifically StarCraft 2.
Just StarCraft 2. And so the way it works is this time around, it's an invite-only. I don't know if they're going to change it or not. So invite-only qualifiers from these regions. The top 8 from each region will be flown, all expenses paid, to New York, where they will have the MLG Winter Arena. And then also the top 8 from Providence. Forgot to mention that. So top 8 from Providence and top 8 from each qualifier. Okay, and the Winter Arena will happen in New York City. There's an undisclosed location. I don't know if they're going to announce it, but that's going to be February 24th through the 25th. And this arena will not be accessible to the public. But MLG has announced that they're probably going to directly support a local barcraft. So if you're in the New York area or just want to go have some fun at Barcraft and you have a little extra cash to throw around and jump on an airplane, go to New York City. They'll be announcing all those details. So that will lead into what they are calling the MLG Winter Championship. The Winter Championship will be your everyday kind of down-home MLG, the MLGs that you guys are used to. So there will be an open bracket that will allow any players to come register, play, and just like Leenock, you could win the entire thing from open bracket. Okay, but the top 16 players from the Winter Arena will be put directly into the pool play. So that's how the seeding is going to work for at least the first event. And then I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it's either the top 8 or top 16 are guaranteed spots in the next winter or the spring arena in New York City. Mm-hmm. I think it's top 8.
I think it's top 8.
Don't quote me on that though. It's in the article, BossFight.tv. And the winter arena will be held in Columbus, Ohio, and that will be on March 23rd through the 25th. All right, yeah, we're all like, yeah, because that's right in our neck of the woods where we all live. So it's kind of funny because Sundance kind of threw us for a loop because he announced all of the stops, and Columbus was the last one in his list, but now it's the first one.
Right. So I was pumped. I'm like, national championships and Columbus is going to be great.
But you took it from us.
Well, winter championships, I'll take it.
It'll still be cool.
There go my nipples again. Oh, jeez.
So the interesting aspect of the announcement is that MLG hasn't announced any other games at all.
No.
If you want to get technical, as of right now, MLG is just a StarCraft tournament.
It's only a StarCraft tournament, but I have a little bit of inside information, and I'm not going to spill it now, but it's like 95% that there will be other games.
Well, no. On the MLG Fact, they had Adam Apicella talking to Chris Puckett, and he was like, there are going to be other games.
Oh, okay.
Right.
I missed that.
Gotta watch the MLG Fact.
I was watching ESL, Hypefestation, Reflex GT7, Call of the Community. What more do you want from me? LG Cup.
Watch the MLG Fact, dog.
God. Thanks.
Anyways, so there will be other games. We just don't know which one. Obviously, it's probably going to be, just throwing it out there, it's probably going to have League of Legends again. And then here's where the craziness. It's seriously either Halo, Call of Duty, or Gears of War 3. I probably will assume they're going to pick 2 of them. That's where I think. So maybe they'll do all 3. Who knows?
See, but
with this new format,
that's the great thing about the new
never really
format.
know how it's going to fit in. Mm-hmm. So maybe they won't do Gears of War 3 this season. But in the spring championship, maybe they'll bring in Gears of War. Maybe they won't do Call of Duty first. Who knows? That's the crazy thing about this new system is because like even Sundance and Adam were like, you know what? This is cool because we can bring in so many games that wouldn't have made it onto the circuit before, because in the old system, they had to dedicate an entire year to a game.
And you can't really make changes mid-season because you're already set. And that's, you
so
know,
all those people that were like no bloom and everything, they could just change it next season.
Yep.
So looking forward to the rest of the announcements. So keep an eye out on MajorLeagueGaming.com for all of that awesomeness, all of that great awesomeness. But that concludes the esports news for this week. Unless you had anything else?
I don't think I have anything else.
Nothing else in your notes?
I'm running out of room in my notebook. And I actually, to conserve paper this week, I actually printed double side. So I think I'm done. I want to sleep.
Little did you, behind the scenes note, we all went out and we had all you can eat wings before this show, and we all felt like we were gonna die, right before the episode.
Ricky, for those of you who don't know, our producer and what is his other title?
Producer, content manager,
camera
editor,
guy, everything,
co-founder, along with me and you and all the IHOP people. I don't know.
Ricky, do you just want to say out loud what you texted me earlier, or do you want me to just say it? Yes. Ricky claimed that he was chicken drunk.
He's like, I'm drunk on chicken.
Drunk on chicken, which, you know what? I kind of felt afterwards after he said it. It was like a placebo effect. It was like, man, I feel drunk on chicken.
Do you want to shout out Sam?
I was like,
he kept texting me that he was drunk on chicken.
Oh, also, Samantha, our
set manager and graphic designer. Apparently, oh man,
you were kind of weaving on the road.
Anyway. Meanwhile, back in the show, don't forget the code. Tweet at us at BossFightTV and at iHeart Esports for your chance to win the awesome stickers. I'm not going to tell you what it is, though, because I would be cheating and super lame if all I had to do was go back to the end of the episode.
Yeah,
not cool at all. So, this is Josh Engel, also known as Anti-Pro, signing off along with...
This is Mike Hard Nipples Bisson, thanking you for supporting esports in whatever capacity you do. And thank you for considering.